and welcome to another Today's Decay, where we celebrate births and beginnings of everything important since the dawn of time. Today is November 2nd. No, it is November 3rd. And here are all the dates that were right. 1871, on this day, none other than Hans Heinz Evers was born. Hans Heinz Evers. Last name spelled E-W-E-R-S. German. Not just German, but billed as the German Edgar Allan Poe, which is probably not really so accurate. He's kind of like the German Aleister Crowley. They were friends, pen pals, colleagues. Were they colleagues? Colleagues in the occult. Yeah. Writer, in the first 2 or I suppose 3 decades of the 20th century. Here's a picture of him. This is actually a postcard. There's not a date on it. I'm gonna guess it's the 20s. You see that there? Let's take it out of the plastic. That's him. Very imposing. So he wrote a whole bunch of stuff. Sometimes short stories. He wrote 3 novels that are the Frank Brown trilogy. Brown, B-A-U-A-N. That is loosely based off of him. So they are like his fictional adventures through the dramatic countryside, running into scared and very flawed religious Christian people, and he's just really laughing at them and above them, and all into drug use and all sorts of perverted, crazy stuff. The first one that I feel we haven't done like a book event or a book Today's Decay in a long time, so we're doing it today. Yeah, so here is a German language. This is probably not the first printing, but really fun anyways. This is from what year? He was writing short stories way before this, which is super cool. I should have picked up those Orchid Garden ones too. Anyway, Alruna. This is from 1911. This is one of the Frank Brown trilogy books about a character who is created from the semen of a hanged man that drips down and in the gallows, in the shadow of the gallows grows a mandrake root that somehow, through some occult rituals, result in a soulless woman, Alruna, who then grows up into a woman, and Frank Brown is her uncle, and she creates all sorts of problems for everybody around her. And it was very popular, and it was made into a movie several times, at least once with Brigitte Helm from Metropolis. Yeah. All right. So there is Alruna. One copy of Alruna. Then we have some of his short stories. This is his German language Nightmare. None of this was translated into English for several decades. So that first one was 1911. This one, 1922. In here, I think you have The Spider, which is one of his, probably his most famous short story. If you're interested in reading any of him, yeah, if you are interested in reading any of this, maybe start with The Spider. It's a really good one, as opposed to like jumping into a novel that you may not want to focus your time. Here is, this is in English. This is like 1927, I think. Originally published 1916, but published in English, I think, yeah, 27. This is his writings on Edgar Allan Poe. One of the reasons for Heinz Ever's influence upon German verse and prose is his wonderful sense of the value of words, of their colors and sounds, which he shares with the masters of all times. His instincts lead him toward the strange, the unexpected. The actions in his book take place in the human soul, that land of dreams, which unites our soul to the world soul. The conception of the Alruna, or Mandragore, his most famous book, anecdates Pythagoras. I'm pronouncing it wrong, ain't I? It is a fable of the plant that shrieks when plucked. Ewers combines the story with the science of our times and creates a tale of a strange passion with no intent to intoxicate, but rather to explain. This book has affected not only the literature of Germany, but the literature of France, where Evers lived for years and where he collaborated with Mark Henry, a French modernist, in bringing out some French fairy tales, Les Jolis Tambours, and the dramatic poem Les Yeux Morts, now set to music by D'Albert. This keeps going. I'm not going to read you the whole thing, but anyway, he's a big deal. That's 27. Also in 27, you have you begin to see more of his work in the English language. Here is The Sorcerer's Apprentice. This is the 1927 first English translation of the first of the Frank Brown trilogy. Look at that Mahan Blaine artwork there. This is a good one. I really like this. It's very it really drips with just evil. Yeah. I love this stuff. So good. So good. He then, what is next? Oh, right. So he also wrote The Student of Prague, the novel. Here is a photoplay, right? Yeah, it's a photoplay of The Student of Prague. This is interesting because it's usually photoplays are focused on just an individual movie, and in this case, it's a combo platter of the 1913 or whatever year it was, Paul Verhoeven Student of Prague, as well as the 1926 remake with Conrad Veidt. Here's a picture of Paul Verhoeven from the initial version. And the story, again, he just keeps going back to otherworldly and occult concepts. The story of The Student of Prague is about a down-on-his luck artist who sells his soul to the devil for money to impress this woman. And here's Conrad Veidt's version. The way they show it in both films is that his mirrored reflection jumps out of a mirror and becomes like his evil doppelganger who goes out on the town and causes much havoc and murder. And the good character needs to track him down and have some strong words with him. About 1930, in the English language, you've got Blood. This is, again, a series of short stories written by Evers. Just looking for a table of contents here. And I'm not seeing one. Anyway, fun stuff. Then we get to Alruna. This is the first English language version. Again, John Day Company, printed here in New York City. And same artwork, Mahan Blaine. Great stuff. Already told you the story. And then lastly of the Frank Brown trilogy is Vampire. This is super cool. I don't think I have a German language version, but here is the American version with the original dust jacket. Check that out. Oh. And this is probably the one that got him in the most trouble. He was definitely he led quite an interesting life. Like I said, was a pen pal and friend of Aleister Crowley, and they both lived here for a while and were considered like maybe spies at different points during World War I. I'm talking about. He also, around that time, went to Mexico to be involved in the revolution to some degree or another. All of which happens in Vampire. I mean, like he makes this Frank Brown character. It's just him. It's just him. Which almost feels like an extension of like if Aleister Crowley was a fiction writer and had a lot of talent in being a fiction writer. Like it a lot of the same elements, I feel like. Here's a really fun one. This is, I mean, there's no exciting cover, but it's The Vampire's Prey, which is the printed in Great Britain version of Vampire. Good luck finding that one. Right, so his vampire story, the last of the Frank Brown trilogy, got him in the most trouble. They're vampires, but it said the main character, who's the vampire, is a Jewess, which is a strange word. I don't think it's a derogatory word, but it's definitely a dated sounding word. But anyway, Jewish lady who he falls in love with and gets obsessed with, and the two of them get into this like bloodletting ritual where they're like slicing up each other's veins and drinking from each other's bodies, and like that is what like is their drug of choice. And there's also like some supernatural elements to it, but it's not like what we have come to know vampires to be today. Yeah. And so meanwhile, part of the reason also he's like gay at different points in this, like openly in the books, if I remember correctly, or at least in reality. A lot of this is like it's the lines are very blended as far as what's Evers and what's Frank Brown. But so he treats this main Jewish female character in the book as an equal, if not even a better than him. I feel like a lot of times in all of his books, his strong female characters get the best of him left and right. There's never like I'm smarter and I'm gonna win in this story. It really doesn't happen. They're fun. They're worthwhile books. It's quality. But all that got him in a lot of trouble. He was also early on involved in the Nazi movement, like in the teens and 20s. The people who wound up being involved with the Nazi movement, in large part because they were all interested in the occult at the time, and also into like Germanic folklore and like medieval Teutonic knights and all that stuff. And once they came to power, there was like maybe 20 seconds where he was involved with them, where like somebody in the Nazi party clearly then read his work and were like, we're burning all of your books and you're not going to work here. And he died penniless, sick, on the streets of Germany, Berlin, I believe. And that's it. But he was like a huge rock star in like the teens and 20s. And that's how he went in the end. And most of his stuff hasn't been reprinted since. There's a great company named Sidereal Press that has been reprinting his Strange Tales and Sorcerer's Apprentice and Alruna, and the Vampire is forthcoming and has been for years at this point. But I believe in them. They'll get it done. Definitely check out Hansign Evers. It's great stuff. Yeah. Okay. That was 15 minutes on Hansign Evers. Dick Bennett, a.k.a. Dr. Paul Bearer, a.k.a. Count Chocula, born today, 1928. I believe he's from Florida, and he was a horror host that went by not one but two different character names depending on the year, and tons of fun and very striking with like eyes that go in different directions, a la Marty Feldman or something like that. Jean Rollin, born today, 1938. I have become a huge Jean Rollin fan in recent time. I don't know where his works have been for the majority of my life. I was so wrong on passing them up. Fascination, if you've never seen Fascination, that would be my favorite. But what has he done that's been bad? I don't know. I mean, beautiful women, vampires, blood, French castles. It's